You've seen The Matrix, right?
Yeah.
You know that scene where Neo is like first in the chair, downloading all this shit into his head, and he's like, holy shit.
I know Kung Fu.
And he just downloads all the information into his head. Bro, I feel like that's how you were in the coaching program this time. It was literally like you downloading all of these epiphanies into your head and all of these mindset hacks and changes. I watched you real time, like literally change fundamentally as a person. And it was so trippy to watch you. And you'd come to the calls and all of this. And you were just on some like Zen Buddhist monk shit, dude. You were just like,
Yeah.
namaste. I literally was tripping out multiple times. I was like, wait, is this Rohan? You would write this big problem, dude, and you'd be like, I'm struggling with this. And then you'd solve the problem yourself in your own post. And I'd be like, holy shit, like, who is this Buddhist monk? So, bro, it was so trippy working with you this time. It was so much different to the first two times we did coaching. It was wild, man.
I think the thing that helped me a lot, Ed, he gave me this link to David Hawkins' GPT, which for anybody listening, it was super helpful. Like I used it yesterday. I have problems popping up. How do I let go of these emotions? And, it's literally like the Letting Go book with the author David R. Hawkins in the form of a GPT, similar to like ChatGPT. And I can just ask it whatever I want and it'll guide me through that situation. And so that's been really useful. That was how I was able to make a lot of the progress.
Bro, how trippy is it that we live in a world now where famous authors, famous like psychologists and all of that, you can just be like, hey, robot AI, fucking ChatGPT, can you role play as this person? And it does. And it does a pretty fucking fantastic job. It seems to understand all the nuance. It understands what David Hawkins might say. And it like literally gives you free therapy and shit. And you're just like,
Yeah.
How would David Hawkins solve this problem? And it's like, here you go.
And what's even trippier is that somebody made a GPT of you.
Yeah, no, I would expect that. I got asked that question early on. Someone was like, aren't you worried that ChatGPT will replace you? And I was like, nah, bro, that'd be sick. People can't just constantly ask me questions. And so why wouldn't I want a ChatGPT version of me? It might not say all the things perfectly, but it gets it like reasonably close.
Yeah, I would say rather than replace you, it would extend you. It would allow more reach to, I guess, your mind and your philosophy and all of that.
Do you know Ross Jeffries, like the famous pickup artist, the old pickup artist guy? I expect people to make like ChatGPT versions of themselves and like sell that for like a monthly subscription as like a lower form of coaching. Ross Jeffries like literally already has that. Yeah, he's like, here's my fucking AI chat robot.
That is a good idea.
Here's roughly what it would say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a cool idea. What kind of stuff are you asking ChatGPT for help with?
I wanted to learn how to let go of frustration. I wanted to get better at the process of, I want to feel this emotion. And instead of like venting or instead of just like talking it out, I want to resolve it internally first and then resolve whatever conflict either I have with, somebody else. In this case, I was running late to work. And I also wanted to get like a bunch of tasks done before I ended up going to work. And I also had worked out the day before and I was really sore. And so when I was driving to work and I was late and I hadn't done any of these tasks, I was frustrated. I was like, why couldn't I do all these tasks that I wanted to do? And why couldn't I arrive to work on time? I was mad at myself and I was frustrated. And I asked David Hawkins, GPT, I was like, hey, this is what happened. How can I let go of this frustration? After like a bit of back and forth of like understanding things, I think the thing that helped me actually was like having compassion for myself. That actually allowed me to like view it from a different lens instead of like being in my emotion of like frustration and anger at myself. The compassion allowed me to have like forgiveness towards myself and that allowed the frustration to like disappear a little bit. But like basically I was like, well, how can I expect myself to do all of this work that I wanted to do, show up on time, especially when I'm, this sore. I can't expect myself to have the same level of performance that I typically do. My body needs to recover. It's okay to not be able to do all the things that I wanted it to do, because at that point, like my body just needed to rest and recover. And once I like gave myself that perspective, I was like, okay, yeah, I feel a little better about this. I forgive myself for not being like 100% or 90% or whatever level of productivity that I was used to.
Yeah, bro. So much of coaching as you would know because you've done it 3 times now. So much of coaching is me basically just holding up a mirror to you guys, holding up a mirror and saying, hey, it's okay. Everything's okay. Look in the mirror. Is everything okay right now? You have this stress of like, I'm running late for work and that's not okay. It's unreasonable. I should be better. Like you're arguing with reality, getting really pissed off that the current events are happening. Almost like you wish you lived in a different timeline. You're like, I wish that I was in the timeline where I was on track to get to work on time. And it's like, but you don't. This isn't that timeline. And can this timeline that we're in right now be okay? Or if it's not okay, how can we make it be okay? Because a lot of the time we sit there and we feel like we're passive. We're like, I'm running late for work and there's nothing I can do. Or I'm pissed off. There's nothing I can do. This woman rejected me and I'm sad and hurting. There's nothing I can do. Or I'm really shit at flirting. And maybe we'll talk about this, later on in the podcast. This was something you had. You were like, I don't know how to flirt. And I don't know how to joke in the workplace in like a fun, silly way because I'm worried about like HR and not doing a perfect job at work. Yeah. There's nothing I can do about it. Or like, is there anything I can do about it? And it's like, yeah, you're not stuck. But we get so stuck. And I think that's the power of something like ChatGPT or a coach or a therapist or even just like friends to talk to, is they kind of hold the mirror up to you and say like, whoa, pause for a second. Is what you're saying even true? Is it true that there's nothing you can do? Is it true that you have to remain powerless and angry and frustrated? And that's where a lot of that frustration comes from. And you, especially in your first 2 rounds of coaching, like a couple of years ago, it was a couple of years ago that you first came to coaching.
Yeah, I did basically one every year.
Yeah. And the first time you came, I got this massive sense of like hopelessness from you. Like very much you would be like, I'm running late for work and it's hopeless. There's nothing I can do. So I've fucked. My boss is going to fire me. It's over. And then you would get fired. Or, women aren't going to like me because I'm nervous and I have struggles with women. There's nothing I can do about it. If we can move past that and say, wait, is there anything I can do about it? Then the ideas start flowing. We start brainstorming. And you definitely did a lot of that in the coaching, man, especially this time. And now I very much get the sense from you. You're like, I feel sad, but like, what am I going to do about it? I'm annoyed. Yeah. Like, okay, I have to do something about this.
Yeah, and I feel a lot of that is that I feel like I have tools to address that, where I guess in the past, I wanted to learn how to do that, but I didn't exactly know how. I think letting go, as like, your recommendation when I did my initial round of coaching, was very helpful. Like it helped me, in addition to you guiding me through like me getting fired, the letting go book was like instrumental. It just actually made me feel like, you know what? It's okay. Like everything's going to be okay. But I still think like throughout the next, few years until like this round of coaching, maybe I still didn't have the right tools to like catalyze my own progression to be able to grow from these, be able to let go of these emotions on my own until, I guess that the GPT helped a lot. So,
dude, it really is just tools. And like maybe you would say tools are just kind of like information. Like you just don't know the tools, or you don't know that there are tools and things that you could do.
Yeah.
So if a woman rejects you and you're really angry, you don't know that you can let go of that. You don't know that everything will be okay. You don't know that you can just go and talk to more women. You don't know that you're allowed to be happy even without women. I think that's a big epiphany that some people get to, dude. How many people come to the coaching program and they're like, I need women in order to be happy. And you've seen it because you've been in there enough times.
Yeah, I've been there.
We slowly unravel that thread and we say, is it even true that you can't be happy without a woman? What if you could be happy and then also go and talk to women?
Yeah.
How would that work?
Yeah, I think that was a huge mindset. Like even hearing somebody else say it, like, you said it. And I think it took like a while for it to like get through to my head. Like, why can't I be happy right now? And then just everything I do is just an addition to my life. And yeah, I guess like the first time I heard it, maybe it like kind of slipped into the subconscious, but I didn't really register it. And then you probably repeated like 5 more times in some
10 million
some of my posts. Like, yeah. And it was just like, oh, why? Yeah, maybe I can view it like that. Oh, and another mindset shift that, of course I didn't realize until I had somebody, yourself introduce it to me, the concept that I could go out and make money on the street. I mean, that was just like, I told you about that. I was just like, you just mentioned like, hey, you can ask people for money. I think it was like $1 or $2. And that night I was just dreaming about, wow, I could, go out and make like hundreds of dollars. And it just like opened this whole world of like, this is possible. And, there's unlimited possibility within this pathway. I don't think I would have come to that realization on my own.
Let's give a little context here. You literally just cold approached a couple of strangers. You asked, no, first person you asked was like your boss or something at work.
Yeah,
You're
my
like, hey,
manager. Yeah.
which is freaking hilarious to me. You're like, hey, boss, can I have $1? And your boss said yes, right? And was like, I guess so. Here's $1.
Yeah, I think he also asked like why. I was like, because I asked.
It sounds silly, and it is kind of silly and funny, but like
Yeah.
that was what I was trying to get across to you, because you wanted to start a business, you wanted to hustle, you wanted to make some money, but you're very much in the mindset that I think basically every human being is in by default, where you're like, I need to know how to make money. I need to have a great idea or a great sales pitch, or I need to have a product or a service. I have to be professional. So I have to already be good at business before I can build a business. That's how most people think about it. Most people think the same thing with dating. They're like, I have to be confident before I go out and talk to people and say, hi, how's it going? Would you like to go on a date with me? I have to know what I'm doing before I do that. And it's like, how would you be good at that thing unless you've done it? And so it's such a mindset shift. It's a real head fuck to realize you can literally just go outside and go up to strangers and say, hi, can I please have $1?
Yeah.
And some of them will say, no, I don't. Or some of them will say, I'm sorry, I don't have any money. Some of them will say, okay, sure. And they'll give you $1. And you go, wait, I didn't do anything for you. I didn't like give you a product or a service. You're just giving me $1. Why?
Yeah.
Because you asked. And the same thing with dating. If you just walk up to a lot of people outside and be like, hi, would you like to go on a date with me? You seem cool. Lots of them will say, no, thank you, or I'm taken. Some of them will just go, sure. And you go, wait, why? Why are you going? Why do you want to go on a date with me? And they're like, I don't know. You asked, and why not? You seem nice. Like, you can do the same with friends. You can just walk up to strangers and be like, hi, I just moved here. I don't have a lot of friends. Do you want to be my friend? And some of the people will be like, yeah, why not? Cool, let's do it. And so you're allowed to have the things that you want by asking. And you can obviously make more money if you have something to offer in return. You know, there's a limit maybe of how much money you'll make if you just walk around saying, can I have $1? It would be better if you had something to offer. But yeah, you were incredibly brave. And when you did that, because we had a big conversation about it on a group coaching call where you were like, oh, I don't know how to make money. And I was like, motherfucker, go out there and ask for $1. And then you'll prove to yourself that you're allowed to get money by just asking for it. And then you'll make more if you offer more. I could see your eyes light up on that call. And you surprised the hell out of me, because I think it was like the same day or the next day or something that you're like, hey, I made $1.
Yeah, it was like within an hour or so.
Okay, one thing that you embrace that I really want to drill in here. So anybody listening, I've talked about this a lot. There's a concept called time to action, how long you take before you take action. And you, Mr. Rohan, you didn't used to be like this, but you became the king of like, all right, if I have a really cool idea in my head, can I do something within 1 hour? Like, can I go out within 1 hour and ask someone for $1?
Yeah.
Can I go up to some girl and be like, hi, would you like to go out with me? Can I ask my coworkers for advice on being funnier in the workplace? Can I just talk to the opposite sex and say, hey, like, can you give me some tips on dating because I'm trying to improve? Like, you became so good at just doing the shit. Yeah. And like, how much time does that save you? Like, how many, people will sit around for months procrastinating. How much of a difference did it make in your life being able to just fucking go?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. It's just like, I even remember doing it the previous coaching session. I think I set like a 2-week challenge for myself, and I basically completed the challenge in like the first day. It was
within like 24 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, I surprised myself. But even with this money thing, it's like it just saves so much time, because like I think the important thing is you just give yourself permission to try. I think a lot of people, they talk themselves out of it. They're like, oh, I can't do that. But my belief is I can do that, or like, I'm curious to see what happens. Just, if you be curious, or, oh, let's see what happens. What'll happen if I go up to this person? And then you just find out that way. And I think just having just an open mindset to trying will allow you to at least give yourself the chance to do the thing that you want to do. And I think that actually helped a lot, because I was curious. I was like, Andy's saying this is what could happen. Let me go find out what actually does happen when I try it.
Yeah. Is he full of shit or is he correct? Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then after that, it was just like, I didn't even feel pressure, just like, yeah, I think that the mentality that I'm curious, it opens a lot of doors. Like, even I do this I work in a sales job and I work with customers all the time. I ask them the most random stuff. I'm like, I think one customer, I was like, so what was school like back? He was like an older customer. I was like, what was school like 50 years ago whenever you took it? He was like, why do you want to know that? Oh, I'm just curious. So,
Bro, do you know how much of a like great conversation curiosity is? Great conversation starter?
mhm.
I'm exactly the same, bro. I would just ask people random questions or I make random comments or I give them random compliments. Like when you take down those barriers of like, but what if they reject me? What if they think I'm weird? And you're almost like removing yourself from the picture. Like you talked about being curious.
Mhm.
And I love the way you phrased it. You said, I'm curious what will happen, rather than what most people do, where they take it very personally and they're like, I need to do a good job. Or I'm curious if I will do a good job. Like, what if I don't do a good job? What if I fuck this up? What if I get rejected? It's like step back and almost be like you're doing scientific inquiry. You're just
Mhm.
seeing what happens. It's not about you, it's about the other person, like, or it's about the situation. What happens if I walk up to that girl over there and say, Hi, you're pretty? What happens if I say to my boss, Can I please have $1? Like, do I get fired? Does he yell at me? Does he throw the money at my head? Does he go, Here, have $100? I really love I admire your courage, son. Here's $1,000. You know what? You're going to be manager of the company. That might
Oh,
happen.
wow.
Like, how the hell do you know? And
Yeah.
I think I even said something like that to you. I remember you saying something like, but what will happen if I ask for $1? And I was like, I don't fucking know.
Mhm.
Like, how am I supposed to know? I can't predict the future. All I know is what I've done and my history and like the examples that I've had.
Mhm.
I know other people and what they've done, but it might be different for you. Like I said, you might walk up to one person and say, Can I have $1? And they say, Do you know what, son? I just won the lottery and I've been feeling really generous lately. And you're the first person to ask me for money. I'm going to write you a check for $10,000. And the check doesn't even bounce. You literally make it $10,000. Like that might
Yeah.
happen.
That could
Or
happen.
someone
Yeah.
might say, No, you know what? Fuck you, son. How dare you ask me for $1? People like you are the problem with society today. And then you'll feel bad. And then you walk away and you go, Isn't that interesting? I wonder why he was having such a bad day. And if you can keep that
Yeah.
curiosity mindset going, you don't take stuff so personally. You're more just like detached from things, but not in a
Mhm.
like depressed, nihilistic way. You're just taking a step back like a scientist with a clipboard and you have on your little nerdy glasses and you're like, okay, so he told me I'm the problem with society. Isn't that interesting? I wonder how I'm the problem with society if I just asked for $1. I wonder what his worldview must be that he thinks me asking for $1 is the problem with society. I just asked for $1. He's free to say no. Isn't that interesting? I wonder how someone could get to that headspace. Is there anything I
Yeah.
can learn from this? Like, could I do a better job of asking for $1 next time? Like, you can always learn and evolve and
Oh, yeah.
increase your knowledge. You don't have to take it as like, I fucked up and I shouldn't do that again.
Yeah. So I want to bring up two examples that actually helped me a lot. I touched on the example of like showing compassion towards myself, but I
Mm-hmm.
also want to give an example of like how to let go of emotions when it's like a conflict with somebody else. Basically, I had a conflict with a coworker. This actually was a really interesting experience. So what happened was this coworker gossiped over me over the public radio in our store, like all the things that all of the coworkers wear. But basically, I heard like the tail end piece of it, and I, was trying to figure out like, oh, you guys mentioned my name. What's going on? And nobody said anything. And then one of our mutual friends was like, oh, this coworker was just talking about how you weren't doing the closing duties. But then that the coworker who was gossiping about me, she was like, "Oh yeah, but it's resolved now." So I think she was just trying to cover her ass or whatever. But I was like, okay, cool, no problem. And one thing that I wanted to do, like typically my way of resolving situations is I'll go talk to that person and I will, be like, hey, I didn't like that you did this. Can we do this going forward? Like instead of you gossiping about me over the radio, can you just talk to me about it next time? This time, that was during that period where I was using letting go. And so what I wanted to do was let me see if I can process this internally. And then when I'm calm and I'm over this situation, then, if I want to talk to her, I can talk to her. And this was the craziest experience. I tried so hard for like weeks to let go of this frustration, but no matter what I did, I couldn't let go of it. Like I would be working at my computer, and then this thought would pop up, like,
Mm.
and it would just be like me stewing over what I would say to her. So like clearly the frustration was still there. And then I would talk to like David Hawkins, GPT, and I would be like, this happened. How do I get through this? I learned a few things from that. One, I was suffering the entire time just by staying frustrated over it. I was choosing to suffer. And two, it was actually a very valuable learning experience because yes, I could have just been like, oh, this event happened. I hate her. People suck, and chosen not to learn anything from that situation. But instead, I was like, all right, well, this happened. I'm in this situation. I'm going to make the best of it. And I'm going to see how I can learn how to let go of this frustration before I talk to her. Like I was intentionally putting off talking to her because I wanted to process it internally first. And I said, okay, I'm not going to talk to her until I've processed it. So anyways, about a month later, it was like I was trying to actively work through this, and it took like a month for me to like make some actual like mental clicks. But about a month later, I was thinking like, oh, what if I just show compassion towards her? And
Yeah.
like,
Which is the thing I want from her. Like, I want her to be compassionate to me. What
yeah,
if I do it to her first and then maybe she'll reciprocate? Yeah.
yeah, and well, that thought came from like, okay, I've shown compassion towards myself and helped let go of these emotions. What if I show compassion towards her? Like maybe that's the only way she knows, maybe she has a rough life and that's the only way she knows how to like not bottle up her emotions is just venting. And the only way she happens to vent is doing it through the public like radio. It's like, well, I can be mad, at her. Like that just sucks that she's going through that. And as soon as I felt that, like the frustration literally disappeared in like an hour. Like it was just
Yeah.
like, and now I don't have any hatred towards her. It's back to like being peaceful, and I think probably the biggest takeaway is like any time that you're holding on to like anger or bitterness or frustration, you're just making yourself like suffer unnecessarily, and it doesn't have to be like that. And that's where like the letting go and the working through these emotions can be so powerful, and also just like having that tool, even if I have like some conflict in the future, at least I know, like, even if I don't know how to solve it, at least I know I have the tools to help me figure out how to solve it. And that, I think that's probably one of the biggest things that I got from the coaching is like, okay, you know what? I'm going to have more conflicts in my life and I might not know the answers now, but I know that I'll be able to get to the answers because
Yes.
I know how to work through them on my own now.
Yeah, you have the tools or the framework.
Yeah. And so even though it took so long, I was compassionate towards myself. I was like, this is going to take some time. It was very helpful. Like I do think that was a very valuable experience. Like most people could look at it and be like, she was the one in wrong, but it's like that entire month, not only did I learn about myself and how I hold on to like all these emotions, I also learned if I choose to do that, I'm just making it worse on myself. Like it was not pleasant. Like literally everything I tried to just shower and I want to think about happy stuff, but a few minutes later, these thoughts were like consuming me. And even when I was trying to do work and get some like creative work done, the thoughts would pop up again. It's just like the faster that I resolve this, the better, instead of just like stewing over it. And so that was really valuable. And also just being able to actually work through it and just like have compassion for her and just treat her like regularly again, instead of like every time I look at her, it's like, I'm just so mad at you. So I think it was a very, very valuable experience in like my letting go journey in to help me, yeah, just learn how to deal with frustration.
Bro, I have like 100 things to say here. Okay, so first of all, she was your perfect teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can literally, if we can change from viewing people with like anger, resentment, frustration, why did this person reject me? Or why did this person gossip about me? Or why is my partner being grumpy? Or why this, why that? If we can switch it to like, all right, maybe this is an opportunity for me to learn something.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's an opportunity for me to give myself that compassion that I'm wishing they would give me.
Yeah.
If they don't love me, or I feel like they've rejected me or hurt me, why can't I love me? Why do I need that person to be nice to me in order for me to be happy? Aren't I just handing them all the power? Aren't I giving away my agency? I'm basically treating myself like a child. If I say it's not my responsibility to be happy, it's their responsibility to make me happy, that's literally a parent-child relationship. Literally. And we say, yeah, that makes sense when you're a child because, yeah, you don't know how to be happy. You don't know how to feed yourself. You don't know how to bathe
Yeah.
yourself like when you're young. So, like, yes, you literally have no power as a child and you literally rely on adults to look after you. Like, and that's a beautiful thing. But we're adults now. And most of us walk around still in that same sort of mindset of like, it's your job to make me happy. Or maybe you'd say it like this, it's your job not to make me unhappy. Like colleagues, bosses, co-workers, like friends, family, relationships, sexual partners, all of that. We say like, it's all of your job to not piss me off and not make me sad. And it's like, first of all, that's insane. But second of all, we also don't tell them that. It's not like you told your coworker, hey, listen, so while you work here, I need you to never do anything that will upset me or frustrate me. I need you to never piss me off in any way. If you said that, first of all, she'd think you're insane.
Yeah.
But even if she was like, okay, fine, sure, just give me a list of things that you don't want me to do and I'll try really hard to not do them. You probably wouldn't have put gossiping on the list because you wouldn't have thought of it. Like, we don't even think of the things. We don't even know what will trigger us or piss us off until it happens.
Yeah.
And so what you said is so true. You said, I'm probably going to get frustrated in the future. I'm probably going to be disappointed and sad and annoyed and angry. Yeah, man. Like, me too. That's life. Like, we're human beings. Maybe one day we get to a point where we're like Buddhist monks and we don't feel these sort of lower level emotions. That's kind of one of my goals. I know that that is your goal, like maybe not necessarily Buddhism, but to be more happy and peaceful and stoic.
Yeah.
But there's probably still things that will trigger us. Your parents will probably die one day. Mine will. Maybe you get cancer. Maybe your partner cheats on you. Like, who fucking knows?
Yeah.
And if we have some sort of framework or understanding that's based on like compassion, understanding, being a little bit less judgmental and all of that, man, life is a lot easier. Something else I'll say is you said that the resentment and holding on to anger about her was only hurting you. Yeah, because first of all, she doesn't even know that you're angry at her, or maybe she can tell.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she's like, whatever, Rohan's just being weird around me. There's a really good quote from, it was either the Buddha or the Dalai Lama, one of those two, who said, holding on to anger and resentment is like holding onto hot coals with the intention of throwing them at someone else. You are the one that gets burned.
Wow. Yeah.
And we do just cling on to that stuff because we think that it's justified. And something that, since you love David Hawkins, something that David Hawkins says is there is no such thing as justified resentment. It's very easy to make it look like it's justified. Well, this bitch was gossiping about me, so therefore I should hate her. And it's like, first of all, like you said, that's probably just her communication style. She probably was angry at you because you were the one that didn't do the duties. And yeah, maybe that's not the nicest way of going about it. Maybe she could have come to you. But like you said, maybe she just doesn't have the tools to do that. Maybe she doesn't know how to come to you. Maybe she was intimidated by you.
Yeah.
And so if we can look at the other person and say, okay, there's a reason or multiple reasons why they did what they did. Can I understand what those reasons are? As soon as you understand, it no longer annoys you. You literally are just like, oh yeah, whatever, she had a bad childhood, cool. Oh, whatever, she always gossips. She's scared of being honest, cool. That's why she did that. Like you said, the pain goes away. What didn't go away for an entire month went away within an hour of you having some understanding. The same stuff with like rejection. Why did this person reject me? Oh, because she just doesn't like to go out with strangers who hit on her in public. Oh, okay. So it's not me. No. Like, why would it be you? Or she has a boyfriend. Okay. Well, isn't that amazing that she's loyal to her boyfriend? Don't you want to live in a society where people are loyal to their girlfriends and boyfriends? So it's a beautiful thing that she said no to you. Great. That's cool. All of the pain dissipates. So I love that, man. And I saw a lot of that in you throughout your coaching. You would like seek out information. It's like you were hungry for the truth and you were like, I don't want to hurt anymore. I want to figure out the freaking truth. I want to know why this happened rather than just sitting there and being a victim and going, oh, this happened and it's bad.
Yeah, I will add one more thing, which I thought was like a beautiful end to this whole saga. I went up to this girl and I was like, I just wanted to thank you because of this experience. I was able to grow so much from it. And it was just like this nice, I guess, conclusion to like all of these emotions that I felt. It was, it ended in this positivity and I felt like peace. after it. So
Bro, that's so big. Like, you already know this because you saw this a lot in the coaching group. But if we can get to a point where instead of being annoyed and frustrated at someone, we're grateful, or if someone says no to us, no, I don't want to date you. No, I don't want, or no, I'm not giving you this job. We're going to hire someone else. If you can get to a point where you're like, hey, thank you. That makes me stronger. Like, you're literally making me more resilient. The more you say no to me, the more no's I get, the more comfortable I am in myself. I don't need someone else's validation. I don't need some other person to give me a job or money or sex or a relationship or any of that. I can just know that I have enough inside me. If you can get to the point where you're actually grateful when people say no to you, or you're grateful when you go through an experience like this where you're annoyed at someone else, man, the world becomes a lot more friendly, hey? Because now you don't walk around going, that person could be dangerous. That person is a threat. That person might reject me. Oh, what if that person says no to me? What if that boss fires me? Instead, you just see a bunch of people who are like your teachers. Like, these people are going to teach me some lessons. If I'm annoyed at someone or scared of someone, or I feel like I need to defend against someone, that tells me there's still some internal work to do. Because while I'm walking around holding resentments and defending and all of that, I'm missing out on beautiful opportunities to grow and learn and evolve and all of that. And this shit takes practice. Like, maybe we can talk about that a little bit. It's not like you just woke up one day and you were a Zen monk. Like, this has been years in the making, brother.
Yeah, and I did want to say, I guess this is probably a good transition, but I feel like I've gained a lot in learning how to deal with these emotions with people, but with job hunting, I have a lot of wounds there. And that's something that I feel like I still need to grow a lot from, because while you're saying like, oh, let's say, somebody rejects you for a job, I feel like I would be very hurt from that, because I still have this kind of like scarcity mindset with that. But I think it's starting to shift, because so I've been working with Ravi for the past 2 years, and he's fantastic. I absolutely love him as a coach. But we recently got to a big like breakthrough like last week on our call, where he's like, how about you just instead of putting all this pressure and stress on yourself for like trying to get a job as soon as possible, how about you just view it as a learning opportunity and just do the best that you can every single day. And I think that's also something I struggle with during coaching, where even for the first like 2 years of coaching that I did, I think that I was just in this like scarcity mindset, like, I have to keep this job. And, if this doesn't work out, I'll be screwed. And I think it just took some time for that to like, I guess, go down. Now it's kind of at that point, probably just like a few weeks ago, where it's like, oh, you know what? I can make progress. I don't have to put all this pressure and this stress on myself, and I can just move and do it the best as I can. And maybe just every day that I try, I'll learn something about myself. And whenever I am ready and I've learned all the lessons that I can, then I'll get the job. The right job will come to me.
This is all just a learning opportunity. I say it all the time. Like, we're basically all out here, whether you're approaching and talking to women, or you're getting a job, or you're going to the gym, or you're making friends, or you're building a business, whatever your goal might be, anyone listening, pause and think for a second. We're getting free university level educations. Maybe better than, probably 10 times better than university. Like, if you go and apply to 100 jobs, you will learn more than you would learn in 3 years of studying business at school or university. If you go out and talk to like 500 women, you'll learn 10,000 times more than I could ever coach you, or than any other person would ever teach you, or any book or anything. If you go to the gym for like a year, my God, you will learn a lot about nutrition, about your body, about health, about sleep, about fitness, about accountability. If you get some sort of accountability partner, like, you'll just learn so much. We're all out here getting free university educations, but a lot of us are so busy hating every millisecond of that and saying, when can this just finish? When can I just get that job that I want? When can I just have the $1 million in my bank account? Why do I have to wait until I get that Lamborghini? Why do I have to wait until I have that perfect girlfriend or boyfriend? Why do I have to wait until I have what I want? It's like, you're not waiting at all, though. Like, every single day is progress. Every single day is a success. Every single day you're winning. It's just that you're so busy saying, I haven't won yet. And you would love this, man. There's 2 guys in the coaching group right now. You already know one of them, but the other one came just after you finished your coaching. And both of them are out there absolutely winning. Like, you can't even begin to imagine the ways in which both of these dudes are winning. But they've started working through this, so they're much better at this now. But for the first couple of months of coaching, both of them would constantly say, I haven't made it yet. I'm not doing good enough. I haven't done enough. Why isn't this working? One of them, was out there talking to women, having lots of hookups, having lots of fun. The other guy is working on his gratitude and his mindset and his peace and love. And he even would constantly be like, oh man, I'm not doing enough to do gratitude. I'm not doing enough to meditate. I'm not happy enough. And I'd say, how long are you spending on this each day? And he'd be like, a couple of hours. And I'd be like, what more what do you mean? Like, this is a victory.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Two months ago, when you came to coaching, you were literally having breakdowns and crying and going through all of this stuff. Now you're like a peaceful warrior. You've won. And every day you show up is another victory. It's like bonus on top. It's like you finished the main game and now you're playing the DLC. This is bonus content, brother. And so often in life, like, so many people listening right now are winning, but they're just so busy saying, no, I'm not. I haven't made it yet. Or I haven't completely won. It's like they're running a marathon, and every single millisecond of that marathon, they're like, I'm losing. I haven't won yet. I haven't won yet. I haven't completed the marathon. It's like, you're winning by just entering the marathon. Even if you don't finish it, that's a victory. But you're going to finish it. You've already run half of it. You've just spent that entire half of the marathon going, this sucks. This is awful. I haven't finished yet. I'm never going to finish. This sucks. If you can just like get out of your own way and enjoy the damn process, you'll achieve 10,000 times more and have more fun with it. And you were definitely someone that embraced that a lot. But it's funny how there's that temptation. Hey, that little part of you that's like, I'm frustrated or sad, so therefore I'm going to use that as a benchmark to show myself that I'm making no progress. Like, a lot of people rely on their emotions as a measure of progress. And you know as well as me, bro, that like emotions will just straight up lie to you. Like, if you had said, I'm annoyed at my coworker for this entire month, therefore I'm failing the entire month. It's like, no, you're not. You're literally learning.
Yeah.
This is like a dojo, and you're training in that dojo, the dojo of stoicism and resilience. So half the time we're winning, we're so busy saying, I'm losing right now because I'm feeling some emotions.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy how they interlink. I have this thing poster back there. It's watch your thoughts, they become words. Watch your words, they become actions. Watch your actions, they become habits. Watch your habits, they become character. Watch your character, becomes your destiny.
Bruh, yeah, dude, yeah. That's some deep shit, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. As we do, so we become. You could summarize that. It's such a radical notion. Like, you know this, I know this. You've done coaching for long enough, and I know this, obviously. But it's such a radical notion when people first hear it. You don't have to believe the thoughts that are in your head. Like,
Yeah.
just because the thought's in your head, you don't have to automatically say that must be true. So if your thought is like, my coworker is a bitch, that doesn't have to be the final thought that you stick with and you go, yeah, she is a bitch. Yeah, I've decided. It is literally true. There's no doubt in my mind she's a stupid bitch. Same as like if someone says no to you, you don't have to be like, well, it's because I'm a loser. That's the feeling I have, and that's the thought in my head. So it must be true. Not going to argue with it, not going to question it. I am just a stupid loser. Like, how radical a notion was it for you when you first started realizing, I don't have to believe the first goddamn thought that's in my head, especially if it's a really emotional thought.
Yeah.
For you, you were like, I'm late. I'm perpetually late. You struggled so much with lateness to the point where, like, you just would literally be hours and hours and hours and hours late to stuff, like to work, to seeing friends and all of that. And Emmy has a friend who's exactly like that. And she went through the same struggle. She'd just be out late by hours to stuff until she started letting go of that identity or that story of like, I'm just the person who's late.
Yeah. It was crazy. Honestly, that was an identity that I held on to like pretty strongly. I remember because you sent me like an audio, and I think I was just angry that um, that people didn't. I identified with being a late person. People didn't understand that. Uh, we're not like everyone else.
I'm special. I'm quirky. I'm like neurodivergent. Yeah. It's like the oppression Olympics. Like, I'm uniquely fucked up because I'm late. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's something that I've just struggled with over the years, and it's made me feel like worthless sometimes. It's
Yeah.
like, why can't I be on time? And so there was a point where I got like frustrated where I was like, um, and I was reading this like Reddit post, and it was just like a bunch of people saying like, yeah, people don't. What? No, actually, maybe it wasn't. Maybe the Reddit post was saying like, um, people don't understand, uh, like, or they're trying to give solutions to how to be on time, and I was like frustrated reading it because I was like, you're on time all the time. How can you understand what it's like to not be on time? And so, anyways, Andy ended up sending like this audio to me, and I remember hearing the audio for the first time. And after I listened to it, I was just like super defensive in my mind.
Yeah, I know.
And I was like, yeah, I mean, he's wrong. He doesn't get it. And then I listened to it like a week later after I'd done like some internal thinking about like what he'd said. Yeah, I was like, all right, yeah, I can see his point of view, but I think it took some like probably his audio and then just reflecting on it for me to even start to let go of that identity. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's just like I didn't even realize that I was holding on to that identity that deeply until like you pointed out to me, basically.
Because you were getting something out of it.
Oh yeah, yeah, true.
The way you start letting go of identities, and you're not the first person to have an identity, a victim, like a identity that I can't change something. That's just so common. You know that as well as anybody. So do I, obviously. I had that for the longest time. And a lot of people listening have that, like I'm a virgin and I can never lose it. It's hopeless. Women will never like me. That's an identity that person's very attached to. Or like, I'm old and it's too late for me. I can't change. It's too late. I'm old. That's an identity they're stuck on. I have had one my whole life that I've, let go of over the last couple of years, but it's still there a little bit, which is I'm always going to be poor. I'm never going to be the person who has, money. That's an identity I was stuck on for so long.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when we're stuck on an identity, we literally do things to reconfirm that identity, or you might call it self-sabotage. And so if we believe I'm always late, I'm perpetually late, and you were doing this at the start, you then self-sabotage.
Yeah.
You have an opportunity to be on time. You're like, all right, I'm going to be on time. And then you're like, oh, but what if I'm not on time? But I'm normally not on time. What if I fuck this up? And then you fuck it up and you sit there for an hour like going, oh, maybe I'll just like I'll play some video games for a little bit. I got time. I'll just watch a YouTube video. I used to do the same thing with money. I don't do this as much anymore, but I did this for years. We would make money. We'd make like more than enough money. And then I'd be like, all right, great. Let's waste it. And I would literally waste it. And then I'd be like, fuck, now I got to hustle again. Now I got to bring more people into the coaching group. Oh, God, see, I can't make money. I'm never going to have enough money. What's going on? And it's like, bro, you just burnt through a chunk of money. Like I remember one time I'm still glad I did this, but one time I gave a homeless guy $500.
Wow.
And it's like, that's nice, sure. But like,
yeah.
Don't then complain next month when you don't have $500 because you gave it away to someone, right? Like, and I would do stuff like that all the time. I would buy expensive dinners for my friends. I'd be like, bro, don't worry, I'll pay $200 for this dinner. I'm speaking in Australian dollars, so like divided by 2. But like, I'll pay for your dinner and shit. And then it's like, fuck, I got to hustle. Why do I have no money? Because you're self-sabotaged, because you're so stuck on this identity, this like victim story or this victim complex. And people do that all the time. You see that a lot with guys who are like virgins and they're like, I can never meet a woman. And then some woman in their life will literally be like, hi, I like you a lot. My name's Sarah. And he's like, no, woman, like get away from like no, you're not going to want to be with a guy like me. And she's like, but I do want to be with you. And he's like, no, you're just saying that. Get out of here, sweet cheeks. Like, come on, you shouldn't be with a loser like me. And she's like, I tried. What am I supposed to do? And so many people self-sabotage in that way because you're stuck on that identity because it's giving you something. And that was what I slowly started getting across to you. You're never going to let go of an identity until you start to admit what you're getting out of it. Like so many people say it as if it's a victim complex. You did. You're like, I'm always late. It's not fair. It sucks. Nobody understands me. This is awful. Bro, I did that so much with money. Oh, God, I have to stress about money. I can't sleep. It's not fair. How come everyone else gets to be rich, but not me? It's so bad. Like, we complain and we do a good little charade. Like, we're good actors. Or maybe we even believe it ourselves.
Yeah.
Wow, look how much I'm suffering. But it's like, are you really suffering though? Or are you getting something out of that suffering? What do you get out of it? Well, I get to be the victim, and sometimes I get sympathy. And I get sympathy for being like, wow, I'm hustling so hard on this business. And people are like, yeah, man, I can see how hard you're hustling and grinding. Yeah, it's not fair. YouTube's changed. It would have been so easy for you back in the day. Yeah, that's awful, man. And then everyone comes around me and goes, yeah, it's so hard for you. Same as you.
That's good.
Plenty of people will sympathize with being late, and they'll go, man, that sucks, Rohan. Oh, I'm so, bro, and no one understands you, and they just tell you not to be late. Bro, you got fired for being late? Dude, that must be awful. And you're like, yeah, it is. Thank you. Like, so you get that. We get that. Something else we get is like comfort and complacency. Like, you don't have to improve, and it can be difficult to improve at the start. It was really hard for me to let go of my attachment to being, broke and being a loser. It was hard for you because I was right there with you. Hard for you to let go of the story of someone who's late. And so it's a little bit of a challenge. It's actually easier in that moment to stay complacent, to stay the victim. Like, that's actually easier just because it's a habit. Like you said when you read that poster out behind you. And so there's a bit of a challenge to overcome, man, when we start letting go of our identities. I fully understand, by the way, why people find communities like the incel community, where they're like, it's hopeless. I'm never going to meet a woman. No woman's ever going to love me. I shouldn't even try. I fully understand why they get into that.
Yeah, it's like complacent.
Yeah.
Yeah, those 2 points that you said with like they're getting something out of being a victim, and then they're also comfortable and they don't feel like they have to change.
It's safe, bro. Like,
yeah, it
doesn't make you happy. Like, people confuse safety and happiness. Those are not the two. They're not the same thing. So like, you were very unhappy when you were perpetually late.
Oh yeah, I was like stressed, guilty.
I know.
Blaming.
Yeah,
it was rough. Yeah.
You had a panic attack like 2 years ago.
Yeah,
like you had several panic attacks where you're like, I'm going to be late. I'm going to lose my job. This is awful. And you did. You literally got fired from being late. Right? Yeah. And like the same thing with me with the money. I'd be up at night going, I can't sleep. I'm going to run out of money. And then I would just give $500 away. And yeah, then you do run out of money, motherfucker. If you just like, I'm all for handing money to homeless people. I still do it to this day. It's just now when I do it, I'm like, here's $10 rather than here's like half of the money that I just fucking earned, right? Like just being a little more reasonable with it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, man, like it's funny how much we self-sabotage and then we're like, oh, I didn't do anything. It's not my fault. I'm a victim, blah, blah, blah. And letting go of that attachment is the first step to healing it. But it can be tricky, like you said.
Oh, yeah.
Like you want to hold on because it's keeping you safe. You're not happy, but you're safe. Or it's more the point you'd say you're complacent, I guess, rather than safe. Because it's not safe either.
I don't feel like it was complacency for me. I like wanted to not be late. But
it's like you're stuck.
Yeah, it's like I'm stuck. Yeah. I don't know how to be on time. And I think even now, like I'm still late sometimes, but at least I don't have that identity really weighing me down. Like now I'm actively taking steps to like get advice from friends who are on time.
Yeah.
And getting like solutions and trying out these solutions. And the most recent, my friend, he's like, make a spreadsheet for like all the tasks that you do in the morning and like write down how long it takes you. And then anytime you're like, oh, should I do this task? Look at that spreadsheet. And, then you can see, okay, do I have enough time to actually do that
time,
task
yeah.
and be on time? And it's like, all right, it helps me like at least get better at it.
Which is, okay, so here's the thing. You already know this, and you're already pretty good at being on time. You're better at being on time. You're not perfect, but you're better. And I'm better with money. I'm not perfect, but I'm better.
Yeah.
And I think that's all that we're really striving for. I think the way I phrase it is like this. If any of you listening have an identity that you're stuck on, which I think most human beings on the planet do, like we call them limiting beliefs. If there's something you're stuck on, realize that there's just things that other people are doing naturally that you're not doing yet. And if you could just figure out what those things are and start doing them, start doing those tiny little baby steps, you would fix the thing. And so like with lateness, what you just said there, I've kept a spreadsheet. I've literally gone like full fucking autistic and I've gone like, here's a spreadsheet of like every single thing, right? And how many minutes it takes me. I already do that. And I think most people who are on time or early, I'm early to everything. I think most people who are on time or early are already doing that subconsciously.
Really?
Like,
oh,
yeah, like I already,
okay.
Yeah, like without thinking about it. But as you just said that, I was like, yeah, I know roughly how long everything I would do would take. And if I'm going to be late
Oh,
for something, I just skip a bunch of shit. Whereas
huh.
you were just doing all those things. You were going, oh God, I don't have enough time, but I have to do all this stuff. Whereas for me,
Yeah.
I'm just like, no, I don't have time to do that. I'll skip it. Including shit like,
Oh,
oh, if I'm going to be late, I won't have a shower. I'm going to quickly fucking spray perfume under my underarms and hope I
yeah.
don't stink. I'll try and like make sure I'm not sweaty. All right, we got to go, baby. Let's go. And just get the fuck out of the house.
Okay.
Even things like, I don't have time to put my shoes on. Jump in the elevator, grab your shoes, jump in the elevator, quickly put your shoes on while you're in the elevator. Like,
Oh,
I already know, and I think most people who are on time already know you can just skip a bunch of tasks. But for you, you never thought of that.
no.
Same thing as
Yeah.
me. This is going to sound really funny, but like me with money,
Uh-huh.
you probably already knew, hey, if I don't have a lot of money or I'm stressed, I
Uh-huh.
just won't give $500 away to a homeless person. And like, that seems like such a fucking obvious thing, but I don't know. I didn't think of that. And that might seem fucking retarded, but that's the point. There's just things that other people are doing. I
Yeah.
know that there are just things that other people are doing by default. And if you can start to learn what those things are, then it's just as simple as like following the steps and you will get the result. The same thing as like, I think dating is a big one, dude. You know this because lots of people in the coaching group are like this. And you were when you first came. You're just like, I don't have a woman or a partner in my life. I must be doing something wrong and I must be a loser. There must be something wrong with me. And it's like, no, there's just steps that other people have followed. They've just done A, then B, then C, then D. And then they meet someone and now they have a partner. That doesn't mean you're unworthy or unlovable or broken or unfixable. You just literally haven't done A, B, C, D. That's it. Nothing's wrong with you. And if you can sort of move past this story of like, I'm broken and I can't do those steps. There's no point me doing those steps. You don't understand. Those steps won't work for me. It's too late for me. You know, all the shit that I used to say. I'd be like, you don't understand. It's really hard to make
Oh,
money.
yeah.
Everyone else can. And it's like, bro, just do what other people do. Just put some money aside once a month and save it. That's called your savings. Don't spend more than you earn. Don't build up credit card debt. Don't build up a massive amount of debt. If you're running short on money one month, just eat cheaply. Don't buy a bunch of expensive shit. Sell some stuff around the house. It's just like basic shit that like other people do that I just wasn't doing.
Yeah.
And when you start doing that, you get the fucking result. Like there's nothing wrong. Anyone listening, there's nothing wrong with you. Me and Rohan would be the first person to tell you this. You're not broken. You just haven't like done the baby steps that are required.
I'm curious for your money thing as well, but for me, and for anyone listening, the way I learned how to do the things, what the things were that I needed to do to be a more on time person. I called up my friend. I knew he was on time, and he was like, "You called the perfect person. I'm exactly who you should have called." And I was like, "Can you teach me how to be on time?" He was like, "Yeah." He just like walked me through what his process was of like,
Yeah.
okay, this is what I do, and eventually after talking it out, he gave me some like homework basically, which was like make a spreadsheet because this is what I do. And so I guess for you, like for the money thing, it might be something similar.
It was very similar, bro. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like speak to my coaches, figure
Mhm.
things out, talk to people who are good at saving money. And like the first thing people said is like, okay, so just don't give $500 away at a time.
Like what did you tell your coaches where they were like, oh, he's giving $500 to the homeless person? Did you just run through like all any money like you gave away or spent or whatever?
Yeah. And I would talk about like, here's how much I'm spending, here's the budget. I talked about like, here's the things I bought in the last 6 months. And then it's like, well, did you really need that? Did you really need this? Did you have to buy that? Was that one there really mandatory? Or could you have bought that secondhand, like used? Did you have to buy it new? And it's like, yeah, I guess I didn't. And then I would also talk through some of the limiting beliefs and stories. I've always had a story that I'm in poverty and I can never make money and I'm terrified of being homeless. And then it was like, start working through that. What terrible thing happens if you're homeless? That's your biggest fear. And it's driving you to make irrational decisions. Like fear makes us make irrational decisions. And so I talked through that. What bad thing happens if you're homeless? And that's where I came up with the idea of like, you know what? If I really was homeless, I'd just go sit outside and have a little sign saying, can you give me money? I'd walk up to strangers and say, hey, I'm homeless, do you have any money that you could spare? I'd really appreciate it. That's what homeless people do.
Yeah.
And then I'd get enough money for a hotel for the night or for an apartment or something. I'd just spend 8 hours a day approaching strangers saying, can I have some money?
Yeah.
And that wouldn't make me feel super happy in myself. So I would offer them something. I'd say, hey, if I tell you a joke and I put a smile on your face, would you give me some amount of money? Hey, if I take a photo for you, I'm a photographer. If I take a photo, would you give me $5? I'd walk up, I'd go clubbing into bars and I'd go up to guys and be like, bro, if I get you talking to girls, would you pay me some amount of money? Lots of dudes would say yes to that, right?
Yeah,
Like
that's good.
they'd be like, yes, bro. And so I'd do
Yeah.
that. They'd pay me some money and I'd be like, sweet dude, like, do you want me to do more of this with you, man? Like, I can take you out during the daytime and you could pay me
That's
like, I don't know,
solid.
$50 on it. Like, I could just build a business from approaching. And so talking through all of that showed me that there were options, that I'm not a victim to like my identity of being this guy who sucks with money. That was what the identity was. I suck with money. It's like, but you don't have to. There's options. And even if the worst case scenario happens and you literally screw it all up so bad, which was my biggest fear, that you become homeless, there's still options. You don't die. And so the same with you. It's like, what if the worst case scenario happens and you get fired, and it did happen, and then you just got another job and it's like, oh wait, I can just get another job. Wait, why am I scared of this? Same thing with dating, man. So many people are like, but what if I walk up to someone and they reject me? Or what if my partner cheats on me? It's like, then you just break up and you can start another relationship. Or you can be single and be happy there. Like, what do you mean? You have options. You don't die because your partner cheated on you. Yeah, you might grieve, you might go through some emotions and all of that. You did, I did. Like, but yeah, basically just talking through it and showing yourself that there's other options. And I think that's the one thing that you don't realize when you're stuck in an identity or like as a victim. You don't realize that you're allowed to be happy even with that identity. And you don't realize that there are alternatives and other options and that nothing terrible happens if your big fears come true. And I think maybe something that really helped you that I'd love to talk about is like baby steps. That was such a goddamn game changer for you. So many times you felt stuck and you were like, there's nothing I can do. And I was like, dude, no, come on. There has to be like at least one thing you can do. And I made you do it. I didn't make you take the action, but I made you think of what the action was. I was like, tell me 3 baby steps that you think you might be able to take right now.
Yeah.
The 3 tiniest, most pathetic steps. And sometimes you were like, I can't really, like, I don't think there is anything, man. I was like, no, think smaller. The most pathetically small step you could take right now. Tell us what it is. And then you'd say it. And a lot of times you went out and did it without us even telling you.
Yeah.
How much did that help? Like realizing you're not hopeless, you're not helpless, you're not a victim. Like there's some tiny little thing that you can do in that moment.
Yeah, I think it's huge. Even something that you said that helped me a lot is the act of thinking about doing the thing can be really powerful. Like, I think there was 1 month that, I added some pressure on myself to like make a certain amount of money and go out and make a certain amount of money. And I wasn't really doing anything towards that. Like, I tried to make the baby step. Oh, let me go drive around my car for like 5 minutes and then go to like some place and walk to a street and ask people for money. And that was too difficult for me. So I was like, all right, let me just break this down a little. How about if I just go in my car, drive around my neighborhood for 5 minutes? Can I do that? And I couldn't do that because for me, I mean, like, I'm a homebody, I think. So I think even just driving somewhere is just a little bit of effort. So then I was like, all right, can I go into my car and just think about making money for 5 minutes or even like a minute or so? I was like, yeah, that's easy. I could do that. And so for like a week, I would just go in my car and like sit there for like 1 or 2 minutes and just think about making money. And every day it made it feel like it was a win. And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
well, after a certain amount of days or however long it took, I can just keep progressing that upwards instead of like starting, at this like level up here and like
That you can't even do. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I'll just start. Where's the camera? Here it is. I'll start all the way down here and then just climb up. And so that helped a lot. And one of the days I ended up like sitting in my car thinking about it and then driving to this area and that's when like I talked to these 3 guys and I mean, I asked a few other people as well, but I also talked to these three guys, and they gave me like $1 each, and that was
Hmm.
cool. So
Yeah, breaking things down is such a cheat code, man. Like, it does require a little bit of humility, though, because you have that thought in your brain that's like, how is it going to help me sitting in the car thinking about making money? That won't help. That won't earn me any money. It's like, I know, but we're doing this so you can work up to being able to make some money. A lot of the time, your brain just kicks in and goes, this won't make a difference. Why should I even bother? Why should I try? You got to sort of put that aside and say, like, yeah, I know this won't make a difference, but it's the beginning, it's the foundation. The same thing applies to literally every goal. My favorite example of this is like if you're a guy and you want to go out and start approaching women and talking to women, for the vast majority of men on this planet, if they even think about talking to the cute girl at the coffee shop, no. Like, that's just not going to happen. Like, they're just like, no, no. Like, even if you gave me maybe if you gave me 5 beers, I can do it, but I don't want to be drunk in Starbucks. So
yeah,
I don't think I can do it. And that's like, okay, can you sit there in Starbucks and just glance at her for half a second and in your mind think of what it might be like to go and say hi to her? Can you do that? And you're like, well, yeah, I can do that. Okay, good. Do that. That's a victory. If you did something like that every single day, eventually after a couple of weeks, you go, why am I just sitting here thinking about it? That's weird. Why don't I just go say hi? I've role played it in my head enough times that I think I might know what might happen. I can't know exactly what will happen, but in my head, it seems okay. So maybe I'll go say hi. You go say hi. You're nervous. It's awful. At least you did the thing. But too many people are thinking that they have to just be the big freaking alpha male who just walks over and is like, hey, sweet cheeks, you like that soy latte? How about we go on a date, love? Like,
yeah, yeah,
you're probably not ready for that. Same with like going to the gym. So many people are like, all right, come on, I got to get my life together. I got to lose like 50 pounds. I got to go lift all the heavy weights.
mm,
And then you just don't do anything because you're like, it's scary going to the gym. It was so intimidating for me when I first started going to the gym. I literally couldn't do it. I tried for like 2 or 3 weeks and I couldn't go. I procrastinated, I avoided. And so finally I was like, okay, how can I break this down and make it easier? And I literally hit up one of my friends and I was like, bro, I'll be real with you. I am so scared to go to the gym. I'm really terrified. Would you go to the gym with me? And he was like, bro, 'cause he went to the gym all the time already. He's like, bro, dude, I didn't know that, of course. And I was like,
nice.
okay. And I'm going to be really honest with you. Is it okay if I just like literally stick to you like glue? Like, I'm not going to let you out of my sight. Like, can I just literally hang around you? Like, I'm not going to physically grab your arm, but can I just like never leave your side? Like, if you go to the water fountain, bro, I'm going to the water fountain. If you go to the bathroom to take a piss, I'll stand outside the door, bro. I'm just so scared to be in the gym by myself. Is that cool? And he's like, dude, I didn't know you felt like this. Like,
Yeah,
you're really this anxious? And I was like, yeah, bro. And he's like, dude, no, I got you. Dude, yeah, I'll teach you. I'll show you how to lift weights. I'll show you what the dumbbells are and the barbells and the machines. And so he did. He took me a couple of times. And then after like the third time, I was like, I don't need my friend here. I'm fine. And like, that's what I mean when I say baby steps. But that does require humility. It took a lot for me to
yeah,
say, hey, bro, I'm scared to go to the gym. Can I hang around you? That felt weird to say to my male friend. I was like, but isn't this admitting that I'm a pussy? And it's like, yeah, but at least I'll be the pussy that goes to the gym. I'd rather be that pussy than the pussy who's like, no, I'm an alpha male. I don't get scared of anything. Why don't you go to the gym? Because the gym's gay, bro. I don't give a fuck about the gym. I'd rather just admit the truth, right? And be like, look, I'm scared. Same thing with like dating. If we can just admit to people, hey, I'm really nervous, but I wanted to ask you if you'd go on a date with me. If we can just tell the truth, man, this stuff gets broken down a lot more. And on that note, that was something that you really embraced in the coaching was like honesty in dating, honesty in relationships, especially a couple of times when you had questions where you were like asking us something, like maybe how do I respond to this woman over text? Like, what do I say? How do I flirt more? And every time, bro, I would just be like, why don't you just ask her?
yeah.
Why don't you
True.
just admit that you don't know how to do this and see what this person has to say? And you got some killer answers, man. Like, and that took away a lot of the pressure to be good. It's like, I can just admit to the person, I don't know this. Can you help me? Can you teach me?
Yeah, and I want to talk about that in a second, but first, I want to say like the power of just even thinking about what you are capable of is so powerful So the first thing that I did for myself actually with approaching women is one of my goals is just I just want to be able to approach anyone anywhere. I mean, just like have that freedom, not be afraid, or at least like be able to work, have the tools to work through those fears and learn how to do that. And so I saw this cute girl in the grocery store line. My first thought was like, how do I talk to her? And I couldn't talk to her. So, of course, I posted in the coaching group and I was like, I think I kind of self coached there. I was like, how do I break this down? And then I answered my question. I was like, here's how I'd break it down. And I was like, all right, first I would just try to talk to her and see if I can do that. Basically, like I just wrote down a bunch of things that I wanted to like break it down to, and I asked myself, can I even see myself doing these things? If I can't see myself doing any of these five things, then I need to break it down some more. Basically, keep going until you can see yourself. Oh, you know what? I could do that. So,
Yep.
like one of the things that I guess I could see myself doing is maybe I couldn't compliment the girl in the line because there's a lot of people around. I feel a lot of anxiety from that. But I could, if I like her outfit, I can compliment her outfit. I have no issue like complimenting people on their outfits, and so that was like the next baby step. Like, oh, you know what? Maybe I can't compliment her and say, "Hey, I like you," but I can go up to her and say, "Hey, I like your outfit," and then just leave. And so that was like something that really helped me is just being able to think about, hey, can I do the situation? And I actually coached a friend where he has like really bad social anxiety, like both guys and girls. He can't even like hold eye contact, and maybe he has a bit of agoraphobia, where like even going like outside to the mailbox and like making eye contact with strangers, or like he actively goes out of his way to avoid people. So I was just like on the phone with him, and he was like walking around the street, and I was like trying to help him get over his fears of talking with people. And I was like, all right, let's start by, can you even think about doing this situation? Yeah, we just like worked through it until I got him to a point where he's like, yes, I can do this thing. I think it was like, if the girl is like by herself, she's sitting down, and like all these conditions, but after like breaking it down and like getting him to figure out like, oh, in this case, I would approach this girl. We were able to get him to the point where he was like, yes, I can do that. And that is just like such a powerful moment where you are able to think of a specific situation and you're like, yes, I can do that. And that would make you like more likely to do that, instead of like
Yes.
you try to put all this pressure, like this insane, situation, like approach a girl in a like, yeah, in the grocery store line, and you're just like terrified of it, and so you like psych yourself out even before attempting to do it. And so it would just be so much easier if you like believe that you could do it from the start.
Dude, yeah. This is what I mean when I say there's always something you can do. Like you said, a lot of the time people put all this pressure on themselves to do some big, great, grand gesture. They're like, I have to go to the gym today and have like a big, sick workout and really start dominating my goals. I got to lose like 2 pounds this week. And it's like, why? Why can't you just start the process? And what usually happens if you're putting all this pressure on yourself to do everything all at once or to really hit the ground running, and yeah, some people can do that. Great. Go do that. If that's you, you wouldn't be listening to this segment. You'd just be doing it. But if you try and do things and you find that I can't talk to that girl that I really want to talk to, and I keep trying and I just can't do it. I can't go to the gym. I keep getting freaked out. I can't start my business. I keep starting, then stopping, then starting, then stopping, then starting, then stopping. If you can break it down to a point where it's like, oh yeah, I could do that step, you're more likely to go do that step. Then go do that step now. And don't worry about the future steps, like one day at a time. But that's how I've achieved everything. Like really everything I've done has been me being really freaked out at how overwhelming the task seems at how much I will have to do, and how many months or years it might take to achieve success, at how many people are better than me at it and have already achieved, and maybe it's an oversaturated market and maybe I can't be as good as them, or they're more alpha male than me, blah, blah, blah. I get really overwhelmed and freaked out for a little while. And then I say, okay, can I just like literally look down at my feet? Like look down, stop looking up at all the shit that I have to do, look straight down, move my foot forward that much. Oh, cool. I took one step. The next foot forward. Stop looking up because I get freaked out and I go, oh shit, I can't do this. Look down,
Yeah.
stop, just look down, take a step forward. That's how I've achieved every single goal, especially the really overwhelming ones. Like me overcoming my depression when I was suicidal. Bro, that was so overwhelming. I couldn't think about like, maybe one day I'll be happy. It's like, no, too scary, too hard. Like, how do I, especially because I was agoraphobic, how do I just leave the house for 1 minute? How do I just stop crying literally all the time every single day? Like, how do I just do the next tiny little step? Same with starting like my YouTube channel and starting my blog. That was so overwhelming. So I was like, how do I write one article? The first article I ever wrote was give yourself permission to suck. I literally said, I give myself permission to suck. This blog is probably going to be shit. No one's going to read it. Here's my first article. Like I literally wrote that in the article. I was like, I'm so scared no one will read this. And I'm just saying this and no one's going to read this. This is shit. This is probably the worst article I'm ever going to write in my whole life. There you go. I did something. Same as my YouTube channel. So if you can just break tasks down into a smaller and smaller and smaller baby step, eventually you do hit that point, like you said, where you're like, oh yeah, I could do that. Good, go do that. And don't think so far ahead. And you definitely did a lot of that stuff, especially like with approaching women, with being honest, with your mindset. It was just, how do I break it down to the smallest step?
Yeah, and I guess your previous remark about the honesty, I guess I have a thing for approaching older women in airports because
You definitely like older women, and for some reason you seem to do it in airports. Yes, I don't
yeah,
know
yeah.
what was going on there. Bro, you had one week where you sent us like 2 selfies in the same. That was adorable. Can I just come out and say this? You started taking selfies with these older ladies, like in public,
They're
like
gorgeous.
they were. But you would hit on them, and then I'd wake up in the morning. The first thing I do is I go into the coaching group to see who's posted,
Yeah,
and just
yeah.
multiple times in one week, there's like your face with
Uh,
this really attractive older lady just taking a selfie. You're both smiling, you're both looking good, and I was like, what the fuck's going? Who's this? And then a couple of days later, the next really attractive woman, and I was like, what are you doing? And like they're smiling, you're smiling, and I was like, bro, what's going on? So
yeah.
yeah, that was.
Interestingly enough, both women who I talked to, they're like both women were 58 years old.
Wait, they're both the exact same age.
Yeah, yeah. So
So you have a very, very,
I have a
very,
very specific range.
yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine you hit on some lady and she's like, hey, I'm 57. You're like, when's your
Uh,
birthday though? Like, when do you turn 58? Like how long we got? Are you almost there yet?
yeah. So I thought that was really funny. But I think so a few months ago I went to Vegas. And I think I really like the airports because I get an extra sense of freedom. Like I already feel mostly free in, whatever city I'm in, but whenever I go to an airport, it's like maybe I feel like less confined. So I'm like more willing to try stuff. And so I was at the airport. I think probably on my way back, there was this gorgeous, like, yeah, I guess we could call her a cougar. I don't know if she was hunting for me, but cougar for older women. We'll call her that. So, but yeah, I saw this cougar in the line, and I glanced at her once, and she was looking at me, and then I glanced at her again, and she was still looking at me. So I was like, all right, I guess she's interested in me. I'll try to talk to her. I ended up just being like, we ended up going the same direction, and so I was like, probably something just random. I was like heading home, heading back to, or how was Vegas or something like that. I have no idea. But we started talking, and then I was like, oh, by the way, I think you're incredibly sexy. I was like, do you have time to, just chat for a bit? Yeah, she was catching her flight in like half an hour, but she was like, yeah, we could sit over there and just talk. And honestly, she was really interesting as a person, like well traveled and intelligent. And anyways, I ended up getting her number. We started texting. So the whole honesty thing, there were some things like I wanted to ask and see if she was like see if she was down for some like dirty texting. And, of course I was like, Andy, how do I do this? This
Yeah,
is
how do I
like,
phrase it perfectly? How do
yeah,
I do the perfect job of this? Yeah. And I was like, why are you asking me? Why don't you just talk to
yeah.
her? Be honest. Yeah.
So then I was like, all right. And it was like nerve wracking for sure. It was like, man, I don't know how to do this. I'm scared. She'll just be like, oh, this is weird. Yeah, I was definitely scared of like getting rejected, but I was like, I think I was something along the lines of like, hey, I'm really nervous, but I was wondering if you'd be open to this because this is what I want to do. And, if not, that's cool. But I just want to be honest with you. It was a huge step. It didn't end up working out, but, I feel like it helped my growth in like just being a more honest texter as well.
Yeah, bro. People treat texting, I guess, because there's some distance between you and the other person. Like you can't physically see them, they're not with you in the room. It's a phone screen. So there's a big distance between you, and there's a time delay. Like usually people don't reply like literally instantly to each other.
Yeah.
And so I feel like because of that, there's often this big like gap when people are texting. Girls and guys do this where they're like, what should I text him? Or what should I text her? Or how do I say this in the right way? Like you're worried about texting it perfectly. But if you can break down those walls and just say, what if I'm just honest with the person? What if I just talk to them as if they were in the room with me right now and as if they were my best friend? Like I say this to guys all the time, and any women listening, the same thing applies to you. To guys, I say, when you're thinking, how do I text this girl? Literally just talk to her the way that you talk to your male best friends. You don't have to call her like bro, like what up, bro? Although you can if you want to. Most girls will find that pretty funny. But like that, you wouldn't think, how do I talk to my best friend? You just be like, hey man, like, do you want to go to McDonald's today and grab a fucking McFlurry? Like you just talk. You wouldn't be like, but what if he thinks what if he rejects my McFlurry offer? What if he thinks that I'm a loser for wanting to go to McDonald's? What if he really wanted to go to Burger King and I said McDonald's and now there's some tension there? What if he thinks less of me for eating like processed sugar? Like you're not overthinking that. You're just like, do you want McFlurry, dude? Do you want to go for a drive? If you can get to that point with texting and with conversations with people that you're interested in, if you can literally just be like, hey, I'm kind of nervous about this, but I think I want to flirt with you a little bit over text. Do you want to do that? Is that something you want? Like, that's how you talk to your male friend. You'd be like, bro, I want to go get a McFlurry. Like, do you? And that's it. You're not taking it personally. And so if you can break down those walls, which you got really good at, man, this whole dating thing becomes a lot easier. Because again, we don't massively overthink our friendships. We're not like, how do I phrase this the perfect way? You just fucking say the thing. And if they don't like it, they'll tell you, hopefully. If they don't tell you, you'll figure it out anyway. That's it. But yeah, I think with dating, we're just scared because we take it a lot more personally. And the only reason we take it personally is because of fear of the unknown. Like we don't know what that person will say because you don't really know them that well. Whereas with a friend, it's like, yeah, I know them pretty well. I trust them and all of that. But if you can take that leap of faith and be vulnerable and say, okay, I'm going to take a risk. I hope that they are trustworthy enough to be nice to me. I hope that they don't brutally reject me or something. I'm going to take a risk. Most people are pretty nice. And what you realize is the ones who aren't very nice, which is really rare, you know that. But the ones who aren't very nice to you, you don't even take that personally because you're like, well, the last 20 people that I talked to were really nice.
Yeah.
This person isn't nice. They're probably just going through some shit. Maybe they're just having a bad day. In fact,
Yeah,
I'm going to have
exactly.
some compassion for them. Like, I hope their day
Exactly.
gets better.
Yeah, I feel like with that perspective of compassion, it just, at least for me now, I feel like I can handle the good, I can handle the bad. I'm just able to like at least feel like I can handle whatever's thrown at me for the most part.
Bro, because you asked a couple of questions in the coaching, which was like, one of them was, how do I flirt better? Like, how do I be better at flirting? Another one was like, how do I lighten up and make more jokes, like at work and with people?
Yeah.
Those two questions, like I get those questions a lot. How do I flirt and how do I be funny?
Hmm.
Honestly, like the best answer I can ever give is by not giving a fuck if you're bad at it.
Hmm.
Like literally, if you just don't care if your flirting is taken the wrong way or you look creepy or weird or whatever, and if you don't care if someone doesn't laugh at your jokes, you're just naturally funny. Like most people are naturally pretty funny. and naturally decent at flirting, you might not know the perfect thing to say, but that's the point. If you let go of needing to have the perfect thing to say, what you just said before was perfect. It's like, I take the good really well and I'm happy with that. And then the bad, I'm happy with that too. Like if all of you can get to that point, you'll just naturally find flirting a lot easier and being funny a lot easier because you're more open to it and you're not worried if it doesn't go well. Like really, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about like having confidence. It's about not giving a fuck if you're not confident. That is confidence.
I think that's still probably some lessons I need to work, but I do think I'm a little better at flirting than.
You're a billion times. What are you talking about, bro? You're like a billion times better. Because at some point you realize you don't have to be perfect. And like the other person isn't just standing there like constantly assessing you as if they have a clipboard and they're like, oh, no, he wasn't really that flirty just then. That was a bad job. Or well, that joke didn't land. I'm going to give him a cross.
Yeah.
Like they're not sitting there fucking analyzing and test. Some people are, sure, but like you probably aren't going to want to date them.
Yeah.
And so most people are just a human being. You can say to them, hey, I don't really know how to flirt, but do you want to practice with me? Which was kind of what we said to you. I was like, what if you just tell this woman, hey, I want to practice my flirting. I don't really know what I'm doing. Do you want to practice with me? That's how I got into like the kinkier side of sex. I was like, I don't know how any of these toys and stuff work. I just bought some ropes and a blindfold. I've never used them before. Do you want to practice with me? And do you know what you're doing? And the first couple of girls I ever said that to, they were like, I don't know what I'm doing, but this sounds fun. And I was like, cool, come over. We'll watch some YouTube videos or something. We'll watch some tutorials. Let's figure it out. And she was like, that sounds really fun. Like, why wouldn't that sound fun? Same with like flirting. You can literally just say, I don't know how to flirt. Do you want to practice with me? Most people will say like, that sounds fun. Same with sense of humor. I don't know how to be funny. Can I practice on you? Most people will be like, yeah, because even if your jokes are shit, that'll just make me laugh harder. Like I'll actually probably have more fun if you're really bad at making jokes because you'll tell me really awful dad jokes and I'll be like, that's really bad, bro. And you're like, oh shit, I'm trying to be funny. And you're like, bro, that's really bad, dude. Oh, I shouldn't be laughing at that. That's awful. Like my favorite jokes to tell, I do this with Imogen all the time. It's my favorite thing to do. I would deliberately tell really shit jokes. They're called anti-jokes because they're not funny. And most of the time she'll just roll her eyes and she'll be like, oh, that's not funny. But every now and then I'll say a really terrible fucking just not funny joke. And she'll giggle and she'll go, no, I shouldn't have laughed at that because now you're going to tell me more bad jokes. And I'll be like, yeah, motherfucker, you shouldn't have laughed at that. That was like
That's
not
hilarious.
funny. And so like most people don't care if you're not naturally funny. They don't give a fuck if you're not naturally flirty. It's just this expectation that I think it's mostly men, let's be honest. I think mostly men put expectations that they have to be super charming and flirty. Although women do too, man. Women put that pressure that they have to be pretty and agreeable and all of this shit. And if we let go of that, first of all, we actually do a better job. It's way easier to be flirty and funny when you're not trying so hard or when you're not so caught up in fear. It's hard to be flirty when you're paralyzed by fear. It's really hard to be funny when you're terrified. Like those just aren't flirty, funny conditions. So if you let go of that, you actually do a better job. And funnily enough, half of the time, the person just is a lot more, I don't know, kind to you than you would ever be to yourself. Like a lot of the time we judge ourselves and we're like, I'm not flirty. I'm doing such a bad job. Whereas the other person is like, he's pretty decent at being flirty. I actually think right? Like we're our own harshest critic, I think is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good exercise though. I might try that as well. Just
tell bad jokes.
Yeah.
Tell bad jokes and practice being like bad at flirting.
Yes, and I'll also ask people if I can tell them bad jokes and
can I practice my bad jokes and my bad flirting with you?
I think I will probably feel a little uncomfortable asking first my male friends to practice flirting with them. And then also, and also any female friends or even acquaintances to practice flirting with them. So that's still something that even thinking about it.
You're allowed to ask people that you date. It doesn't have to be your male friends, although that'd be hilarious.
All right, that's good.
Bro, can I practice my game on you? Can I practice my flirting? And he's like, bro, what? Okay, go for it. Dude, you got great. Wait, also, okay, so I'll tell you what. I watched this like YouTube video a while ago that was like men versus women at flirting, and it was sort of like a game show. And the men had to flirt with a bunch of women, and then they swapped, and it was the women's turn to flirt with the men. And so the men, all the men flirted with the women, and lots of them tried so hard, like tried too hard. They were like walking up with pickup lines and just trying to be smooth. It was like awkward. The guys that did the best were just normal. A couple of dudes just walked over and they're like, hi, you're cute. What music do you like? What do you do for work? Oh, that's cool. Like, where are you from? Oh, cool. I've been there. Like, it was just a conversation. Those were the ones where the girls responded the best, and the girls voted. Those guys were the best at flirting when they weren't even trying to flirt. They were just talking.
Yeah.
But here's the funny part. When it was flipped and it was the women's turn to flirt, bro, the women were so unbelievably bad, and they were like, it was painful. It was painful to watch. It was actually, they were trying really hard, but it was so bad. It was worse than like the most unconfident autistic male that you've ever seen in your life. Basically, every woman was worse than that because women don't really ever practice.
Yeah.
But as you might expect, it worked on basically all of the men. And like, because guys just don't get hit on. And we're fucking easy. Here's how you, ladies, here's how you flirt with a man. Just be nice to him and tell him that you'd like to go on a date with him. That's it. That's how you flirt. You just like, be nice. And they'd be like, would you like to get a coffee with me sometime? And he'll be like, wow, holy shit, this bitch is so smooth. She's so good at flirting. Wow, this is the most amazing, confident. You would love it. There's a guy that just joined the coaching program a couple of days ago. And he said, hey, when I applied for the coaching program, I had a bunch of goals that I wanted to work on. One of them was I wanted to meet a woman and have a friends with benefits. And he's like, I've already done it. I already have it. And I was like, dude, great. Now we can work on other goals. And then I said, like, how did it happen? And he's like, well, I'm a bartender. I was working. And this woman just came up to me and just started being nice to me and talking a lot. And I didn't do anything. She was just talking to me. And then towards the end of it, she just said, like, are you single? And I was like, yes, I am. And then she was like, would you like to get a drink sometime? And of course I was like, I would love that.
Nice.
And we all talked about like, oh my God, she's like the smoothest, most confident, most amazing person ever. Not really. Literally all she did was talk and then say, do you want to get a drink sometime? But like, because it's a woman doing that and that just never happens, it looks so like she's a smooth Casanova, even if she's awkward and weird and cringeworthy. So yeah, it's not hard to flirt as a woman. It's not hard to flirt as a man, but I think we put pressure on ourselves to do a good job with it. So
true, yeah. So if you just remove the neediness, then you can just,
like the need. You call it neediness. Yeah, let's be specific. It's like neediness around, I need to do a good job.
Yeah.
I need her to say yes. I need to not get rejected. It's like, why? What bad thing happens if she says no? Like, not everyone on the planet wants to date you. That's such an obvious, logical realization. But in the moment, we don't feel that. We're like, yeah, but what if this person says no to me? It's like, statistically, most people are going to say no to you because most people either aren't available or they're not single or they're not interested in you or they're just busy and not like they got other shit to do. They're not thinking about dating when you just talk to them in the middle of the day. Most people aren't available or they just have other things that they want to do. So when you can wrap your head around that, you take a lot of pressure off. Same thing as like, a lot of the time your sense of humor won't make the other person laugh.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have to. The number of times I have told a joke and it's just dead silence. Like you can hear crickets and grasshoppers in the background. And I'm just like, okay, that joke didn't work. And if you can get to a point where you're like, there was nothing even wrong with the joke. Because I will tell the same joke to someone else and bro, they'll just fucking die. They'll just...
Oh, it's the audience.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point. It's like that person just... And think about it. Think about the mood that you've, like the worst mood you've ever been in your entire life. If someone tells you a joke in that moment, you're like, fuck this guy, fuck you, shut the fuck up, I'm sad.
Yeah.
Like, so it's less about you. Same as when you approach someone. You might have the smoothest, most best pickup lines ever. You're like some perfect celebrity alpha male who's rich and everything.
Yeah.
And her cat just died a couple of days earlier.
Oh, okay.
Nothing you say is going to land. You know what I mean? Like, her mum just died. Her cat just died. She just got cheated on. She's got a boyfriend. So we take it so personally, but most of the time it's factors out of our control. And I think when you lighten up and say, it's not so much about me, it's more about the person. It takes two people to have a relationship or have a good conversation or have a friendship. And we so often focus on our side of the equation and we go, because we didn't get together or because we didn't have a great connection, it must be me. And it's like, you're only 50% of it though. So even if you're going to fully blame yourself, fine, you can only blame yourself maximum 50%.
Yeah.
And then the other 50% is the other person. But we take it personally because, I don't know, I guess that's just what we've always done. We build a habit of beating ourselves up a little bit.
Yeah, it's our go-to habit. Yeah, I want to tell a quick story.
Go.
I was in line at Chipotle yesterday, and there's a really cute girl there. I was like, hey, are you single? She was like, no, I've been married to the same bastard for 20 years. And then I was like, okay, cool.
I'm sorry. Was that really your response? Okay, cool.
Oh, no. That was her response. Yeah.
Okay, I thought you said, she's like, I've been married to the same bastard for 50 years. You're like, okay, cool.
Yeah, no, that was my response, yeah.
Have a nice Chipotle. Yeah.
No, and then we were both waiting for our order, so I just made small talk with her. But yeah, it was such a chill conversation, and I didn't take her no personally. And
Did you give her any like marriage tips, bro? Like,
I mean,
I don't know that she sounds happy in her marriage. Not that it's your point, but
no, I know. I think it was kind of like a joking thing. It wasn't like a angry like, oh, I've been married to the same pastor. It was like, no, I've been married to the same bastard.
fair
for 20
enough.
years.
But I feel like when you're happy, you don't refer to your partner as bastard. You're like, I've
well,
been married to the same fabulous, beautiful human being that I appreciate and respect and love very much.
Yeah, no, I don't know what's going on in her life. I have no idea, but I thought it was cool.
That could have
It was
been
just
your
like,
opportunity to make money, bro. That's my point. You're out there on the streets trying to make money. Be like, hey, listen, I'll give you some marriage counseling. You give me $10.
oh my gosh.
And I'm half making a joke, but this is the perfect segue because you gave a lot, like in your time in the coaching program, and something that you wrote was, I feel like I have a lot to give others. And yeah, no shit, you're not going to like counsel some chick who didn't ask for it for fuck's sakes when you're not married. But
Yeah.
I was half making a joke there. You did do a lot though to help other people. Like you talked before about helping your friend who was agoraphobic. In your time in the coaching program, you pushed a bunch of other people and gave a lot of wisdom and all of that. How much of a difference does it make in your life being able to help other people? Like there's a quote that I kind of think about a lot when I'm coaching. When you help others, you really help yourself. Like to give is to receive.
Mhm.
How nice has it been for you to feel like you can actually have something to offer other people rather than just like, hey, I believe in you. Like now you're actually giving out wisdom to other people.
Yeah, I mean it's great. Like even the guys in the coaching group, it was just like I see them like I was a few years ago making those. There's certain things I remember, just like certain guys being frustrated about why is this process taking so long, and it's just like I'm in the position where I've been there before. I can help, I guess, ease their suffering, and it just feels nice to be able to be in that position where
Yeah.
I can help them out. And even like my friend, as far as the teaching moments goes, it's like he was probably the first person I've actually like truly helped like one-on-one. And it's just like I felt a duty like to be able to explain things in such a way that would help him move forward, and just to be able to hear him think like, no, I can't approach this girl, to, okay, how about if it's just her by herself, can you approach her then? No, not really. And like, okay, how about if she's sitting down? Maybe. And like just hearing him go from like no to like maybe to I guess so to yeah, I could do that. I mean, that's just like, it was just really cool to see, just being able to give somebody a way of like getting through their own fears. It's really fulfilling. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a reason I'm a coach. It's fucking
Yeah.
fulfilling, dude. Like, obviously. But a lot of the time, the answer is right there. Like, you see someone struggling with something, like really, really, really suffering. And you're like,
Mhm.
the answer is like right there. Like, right. Like, literally, like one sentence might change your life. And then you just go like, hey, what about this? And you can see the gears start to turn in their head. And they're like,
Interesting.
huh, I never thought of that. And then you say one more sentence and they go, oh, oh, really? And then you say one more sentence and they're like, oh, shit, you might be right. And then the real magic is when you see them go out and actually take the action. And then they come back and they go, wow, dude, thank you. If you hadn't said those 3 sentences to me, I might just be depressed or sad or lonely or whatever for the next, like, I don't know how many years. But those 3 sentences, and then more to the point, the action that I took with those 3 sentences, that genuinely changed my life. You can see how this becomes addictive.
Yeah.
Especially because you have literally thousands of those thoughts in your head, like you do as well. You've learned so much over the last 3 years that there's so many little tools that you can give someone, or a little nugget of wisdom, or like, hey, have you tried this? Hey, what about this? Hey, have you tried thinking about it in this way? And you just throw those out there sometimes. Like, you're not even really trying. Like, it doesn't take you a monumental amount of effort to help your friend. You're just talking. You're just hanging out and talking. But you realize with these throwaway lines that you're not even really thinking about that much. You just say something to make him feel better. And then he goes and genuinely changes his life, even if it's just in a small little way.
Yeah.
That gets really addictive. And at some point, you used the word duty before. Yeah. At some point, you start thinking about it like that. You're like, I have all this shit in my head. I don't want it to just die with me when I die. I may as well just blurt it out whenever I get a chance. And you might not say it to everyone. You're probably not going to say it to the woman who's standing in the fucking line saying, I'm married to a bastard. But like, even then, sometimes you do. Like, I was in a makeup store the other day with Imogen. She was buying some makeup, and some woman she's talking to us while she's like doing Imi's makeup and selling her something. And then she just said to us, like, what do you guys do? And I was like, oh, I'm like a life coach, and, you know, I do a lot of like dating and sex and relationship coaching. And she was like, can you give me some advice? And I was like, okay, like, what do you want? Like, advice on what? Like, she's like, advice on relationships. And I was like, you gotta give. I can't just give you relationship advice. Like, be good to your partner. Anyway, tell me, like, give me the context. And she's like, well, you know, I'm with this guy, and he's like a son of a bitch, and he's a fucking asshole, and, you know, I just like, she's like going fully hard, bro. She's like, he's a piece of shit, and he's cheated on me, and he's done all of this and this and this and this. She's just going hard. I let her say all of that, and I was like, well, what do you want? And she was like, what do you mean, what do I want? And I was like, well, what do you want? And she was like, well, I want to be happy. And I was like, okay, what are some baby steps that you could start doing right now to be happy? And she like thought about that for a little while. She like actually stood there and thought for a little bit. And she's like, she came up with a couple of different things. And I was like, okay, what if you did those things? And you could see the gears start turning. And she's like, wait, if I stop just focusing on my boyfriend and he's a piece of shit and he's an asshole and he's a bad person, blah, blah, blah. If I actually just pause for half a second and say, what do I want? And how can I start taking some baby steps towards that? Then yeah, maybe I wouldn't let my boyfriend be the reason I'm unhappy. Maybe I wouldn't blame him and say he's a piece of shit and that's why I'm unhappy. Maybe I'd take my own happiness seriously. And you could see the gears turning. Bro, that was just like a 2-minute conversation while I'm standing there watching her Imi get makeup on. I wasn't trying, like, it wasn't a proper conversation. It's just like, you're fucking around. And eventually, I guess I'm promising you this, as you keep doing this more, man, as you keep just giving out little bits of wisdom to your friends, like, you're not even trying to help, you're just talking. Yeah. I promise eventually you get to a point where, you know, you do have nice conversations with someone and they walk away from that going, wow, thank you. And you're like, I didn't do anything. Like, I just said what was on my mind. Like, I didn't try and coach you or something. I just said, like, what do you want? That's a pretty fucking obvious, simple question. When someone's unhappy and they're complaining to me, it's like, well, what do you want? What would make you happy? Why don't you go do that? It's like, it becomes a lot easier and simpler to help people. And it just starts to become like a thing that you do all the time. Yeah. That's when this shit gets really rewarding, man. And you're not the first person to come through the coaching program who's like, damn, this feels good to help people. What if I do it more? The most obvious example of that is the person that you are also paying for, you know, other coaching, Ravi. Ravi is literally someone who came through the coaching program. I think he did like a year of coaching, maybe a year and a half. And he's like, wow, it feels good to help people. And I was like, yeah, no shit. That's why I'm doing it. And he's like, what if I do it? And I was like, go fucking do it then, man. And that's what he's done. So yeah, bro, like, helping people is fucking nice. And it makes you feel better about yourself too. Like, you cement and solidify your own ideas when you teach them to other people. Like, when you give advice to your friend, bro, you're actually fully giving that advice for you. Like, you're really handing that advice to them, but it's actually coming straight back to you. And I can't tell you how many times, I'm sure you've had this too. You'll give advice to someone, and as you're saying it, you're like, wow, that's really smart. I should do that. Like so
Yeah,
many
yeah, no,
times, bro.
yeah.
I'm like, wow, what if I actually fucking did that? That would be really good. Yeah, how about I do that and be, like walk the walk and talk the talk. So yeah, man, I love how much you started helping other people. It's beautiful. It's been really cool to see, man.
Yeah, I think the even just like regurgitating what I had said about like the power of thinking that it's possible, and when I told my friend that, it of course reinforced in my mind to how to break stuff down into like baby
Yeah.
steps. And yeah, so I would say like that was definitely like a teaching moment for myself. Is like this feedback loop. Like I do it, I'm teaching my friend to do it, and of course reinforcing to keep doing this thing that I'm
Yeah.
telling. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. When you share it with others, it's like it becomes more real. Because really, you'd only share something with someone, like you'd only give advice to someone most of the time if you believed it.
yeah,
Like it's a friend you're trying to help. You're not going to give them terrible advice. And so when you're sharing something with someone and giving them some advice, you are literally subconsciously saying in your own head, this must be important. Otherwise, I wouldn't be saying it to him. This must at least be useful, or I wouldn't be. I'm not going to give him useless advice. So by me sharing it, I am making it more real in my head, and I'm making me believe in it a little bit more. Otherwise, why would I have told it to someone? Like that's one of the most powerful things that happens when you share this shit, man, for sure.
yeah. And a question for you: having baby stepped your way through all of these realizations, what is it like for you to see, I guess, me and like other people go through, and like you said, the gears were turning, and it's like you can kind of see like what progress we need to make, or because you've also been there yourself, but I don't know, I'm just wondering.
I think for me, so it's incredibly rewarding. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this for all these years, obviously.
Yeah.
For me, coaching and content is a patience game. Like,
Mm.
as you said, I can often see the realizations. I can see the limiting beliefs that are standing between someone and their happiness. And I'm not always 100% correct with that, but let's say like 95% of the time, you can see if this person just didn't believe this limiting belief, they'd
Mm.
be a hell of a lot happier. If they just actually went out and tried and took some action, they'd see that the results are a lot better than they thought they would be. Rejection is nowhere near as scary as they thought it would be. Like if they could just do this step or stop believing the limiting belief, they'd be a little bit happier or a lot happier. You can see that. And then your mission as a coach is like, how do I get them to see the thing that I can see? And sometimes it's just like you literally, honestly, autistically say it. You're like, I did this yesterday. So we had a group coaching call yesterday with the coaching group. And one of the guys was saying some stuff and he was like, I suck at talking to women. I suck at this. Like, I suck. And sometimes I'm just honest. And I was like, all right, you suck with women. Is that true?
Yeah.
And he's like, yes, that is true. And I was like, can you absolutely know that that's true, that you suck with women? And he's like, well, I guess I can't absolutely know that it's true. And I was like, okay, so you've been telling this dumb story that you're expecting me to just sit there and believe, oh, wow, this guy's so bad with women. I'm just going to believe that. You're full of shit. And you've been peddling your lies to me and telling me that I have to believe that you're bad with women. I've sat here listening to it and I've tried to, I've been gentle with you a lot of times. No, we're all going to sit here right now and see if this is even true, that you're bad with women. Can you give me 5 reasons why you're really good with women? And this guy is really good with women, by the way, like
Yeah.
spoiler alert. I was like, can you give me 5 reasons? And he's like ridiculously attractive and all of this. He just doesn't believe it. He thinks that he's not. And so I was like, can you give me 5 reasons you're really good with women? And we slowly teased those ideas out. And he gave me 5. And I was like, okay, so is it true that you're bad with women? And then it was like, maybe it's not true. And so that's a case of me just being really blunt and just saying it. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to be gentle. I tried to be gentle. And sometimes gentle is the best way. Sometimes just saying it and being like, you're not bad with women. Stop lying. Let's fix this. Other times you will be a little bit more patient and you can see that someone is struggling with something. And your mission is to love them where they are right now instead of expecting them to just hurry up and teleport into their future self. Like a lot of the time as a coach, you know the person's potentiality. You can see what they're capable of. You can see the greatness in them that they can't see themselves. And then your mission as the coach is to be fucking patient and wait until they get to that point where they're like, wow, I am powerful. And you're like, yeah, retard, I told you that the whole time. But you say that in a nice way. You're like, yes, you are. I believed in you I told you, man. I told you. So you have the same thing when you're helping your friends. You know your friend is capable of going outside and saying hi to a girl. If he would just try it a lot of times, he'd eventually get it. You know that. He doesn't know that. He thinks he's a loser. He thinks he's agoraphobic and that he can't overcome it. He thinks he can never change. He thinks that women are scary. You have so many pieces of knowledge in your head that he doesn't. And then the only thing you're trying to do is gently take it out of your head and be like, here you go. And then the first time you go to offer it, he's like, no, fuck you. Don't offer me that. And you're like, okay, how can I say that again in a more gentle way? And you're just trying different methods. Like I have like 100 different ways of coaching people. And you get a sense the more you do it of like what might work for one person and what might work for someone else. But a lot of it is literally just trying different things. Like someone will come to the coaching, I'll try being really gentle and loving with them. If that doesn't work as well, I'll try just saying the truth. And I'll even say, hey man, I'm going to be honest with you. And then I'll say it. If that doesn't work, then I'll try this next thing. I'll try and get them to the realization. I'll try and get them to take some baby steps.
So you have your own toolbox.
Yeah, no, bro, 100%. You have like 100 different ways of coaching. I do the same on my YouTube channel. If you go and watch my videos, one of them I'll be really quiet and gentle and I'll be like, hey everyone, I love all of you and you're all doing a great job and everything's okay and it's going to be okay. And that's the whole video, is just like talking like that. Then the next video, I'll be like, I believe in you guys. Come on. Like today is the day that you're going to get your life together. You're going to go out there and you're going to do something, because that will work with some people. For other videos, I will get like this video, like I will interview a past coaching client, and you, without even realizing it, will inspire a bunch of people. Even though I said the same thing 100 times in 100 other videos, for some reason hearing you say it, because you're different, like you're a different person, and you have a different way of saying it. Maybe some word or sentence that you say clicks with the person and they go, oh, I get it. Wow, this Rohan guy's like a genius. Wow, thanks.
Yeah.
And it's like, you heard it 100 times before, but like it didn't click. So there's all these different ways of coaching people for sure. I like the way you phrased it. It's a toolkit and you're just trying different tools and seeing what will help the person. But yes, if I can summarize coaching in one word, it is like patience, like me needing to be patient. Because if I'm impatient, I am a bad coach. If I just say to someone, stop being a fucking pussy, bro, hurry up, it's like that person is way more likely to quit, to give up, to feel like there must be something wrong with them. After all, the coach is calling them a pussy. There must be something wrong with them. It's not the coach's fault. It must be the client's fault. So yeah, I'm not always perfect with my patience, but it's definitely something that I'm still working on. I used to be very impatient and I would get angry. And you talked about Ravi. Ravi was one of the people that I used to be the most impatient with. And I was just like, come on, stop being negative, Ravi. Like, and Imogen, my girlfriend. Imogen, my girlfriend, is another person that I used to just always be like, come on, stop being negative. Be more positive. I need you to just have a positive mindset. And it's like, that's not helpful. They know. They know that being positive is more helpful. They want to be positive. It's like what you said. When people used to just say to you, like back when you used to be late a lot, if people were just like, just be on time, you're like, I know.
I know that.
I know. Yeah. No fucking shit. It's the same thing, bro. I don't know if they have this in your country, but they have this in my country. The way that our government and like our media and all of that try and solve like domestic violence, like women beating their husbands, ready? They just go, don't beat your wife.
Oh,
and it's
okay.
like,
Okay.
I know. Like, don't they, do they do that in America? Are they just like, stop domestic violence? Like, stop, just stop.
I have no idea. I need to look into that, but it probably is similar, to be honest. Yeah.
They're just like, stop beating your wife. And the angry guy who comes home and has anger management issues and fucking hates himself for the way that he treats his wife, he's like, I know. But that's like, maybe not helpful. Maybe he doesn't know. Yeah. Tiny chance he doesn't know, but I think the vast majority of people know. It doesn't feel good when I hit my wife. I love her. Why do I hit her? There's a little more to it than just stop hitting your wife. Or, you know, sometimes you will hear feminism will say this, where they'll be like, men, don't rape. And it's like, we know, like, yes, thank you. That's great. So there's a little more to it than that. And so that used to be my coaching style, was like, be more positive. Stop being negative. And it's like, I know.
Yeah.
Or like, go talk to that girl outside. go start your business, go take action. And it's like, I know, I keep trying and I keep failing. There has to be a more gentle way. And that's why we talk about baby steps and just doing a little bit and what's the smallest thing that you can do, rather than me just saying, go out there and do it. They're like, I know, but I can't. What do I do if I can't just go out there and do it? Okay, then break it down into a smaller baby step. And eventually we'll hit a point where we've broken it down into such a small baby step that you're like, well, I could do that step. And you're like, good, go do that step. And then they do that step and they're like, whoa, I did something. I accomplished something. Holy shit, maybe I'm not a loser. Okay, what's the next step? And then you give them a slightly bigger step and they can do that because they just had practice with the smaller step. And they keep working their way up until you're doing crazy shit like asking people for money or hitting on lovely cougar women at the airport.
Yeah.
Like we work up to that. But if we had told you at the very start, listen, son, I need you to go and hit on 58-year-old older women that you're really attracted to in the airport. Go, 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 go. You would have been like, I can't. Like most people who come to the coaching, most people who come to the coaching, if I'm honest, let's say like 75% of the people that come to the coaching are not ready to take that massive big step. That's why they're paying for the coaching. Otherwise, they would be out there doing the big steps and then I would just be there to help them. And there are some people like that. There's a guy in the coaching group right now who was already taking massive, massive, massive steps and he wants to improve it in the coaching. Great. But most people come because they can't take that big step. And most of you listening right now can't take the big steps that you know you're capable of in the future. You're just not there yet. So work up to it with baby steps. All right, let's start wrapping up. I feel like I could talk to you literally forever and we would have like infinite things to say, but I want to end on a high note. So I guess, do you have any final wisdom for anyone listening? Maybe like one sentence that would help a newbie listening or anything you can give?
Just reflect whenever you experience some kind of thing that frustrates you. I think journaling about it, actually, because then you can write down your words, see exactly what thoughts are in your head, and then you can start to identify, exactly the thoughts that you're thinking just by writing them down. And then you can start to ask yourself, are these thoughts true? And from there, you can start that journey of rewiring your brain. So, and of course, if you want to use like letting go to like work through that stuff yourself, you can, but at least you'll get started in identifying what are these thoughts that are going through my head.
I love that, man. Journaling is so freaking powerful. Yeah, to see what's going on in your head. So it's not this messy, emotional train wreck. You actually can see it on the paper and you go, well, that's not quite true. I don't know why I thought that. And it's like, because you're emotional. When you're emotional, you think a bunch of shit that's not true. Like that's just what emotional people do. I do the same thing.
Yeah.
You start believing that people are your enemy or someone's out to get you or you're never going to make it. When it's on paper, you're more rational about it and you can look at it and go, I don't think that's true. Why did I write that? And then you start working through it.
I actually did a few exercises for like both dating and job hunting. With dating, I listed out the areas that I wanted to get better at and also what thoughts that I was thinking when I was in each of these areas. So for example, like online dating would be one, approaching women would be another. And it's like for online dating, it's like, some of these thoughts are like, oh, I'm not attractive enough, or there's no point in swiping, I'll just get rejected. And just even like writing down these thoughts, you can see, I read them a few weeks later, like this is probably what I think every time I, open the apps to go online dating or like to swipe. And when I'm out approaching like, oh, I'm going to get rejected anyways, maybe that thought will pop up. And so at least just by bringing awareness to the thoughts that are going on inside your head, you can start to change those thoughts. But if you're not even aware of them in the first place, then it's a lot tougher too. And same thing with job hunting. Like I wrote down those 3 areas that I struggled with, which is like 1, searching for the jobs that I want, 2, like reading through the job descriptions to like filter out whether it is a job that I want to apply for, and then 3 is applying for it. There's so many things like that even just like reading the job descriptions is like, oh, I don't feel qualified for this. And that would already like take me out of applying for it because it's like, I don't even think that I can get the job. So it's like just by writing down those thoughts, now I can start, okay, what can I do to move myself in the direction of actually applying for these jobs and start to take baby steps towards overcoming these fears.
Yeah, man. Baby steps are an absolute cheat code.
Hmm.
Any final shout outs as we wrap up?
Yeah, I mean, like, so this is my third time coaching, and I will say it's not my third time as much as, maybe I did need it, maybe I didn't, but it's the third time because I wanted to be there. I absolutely love being part of Andy's group. It's just like, very loving and nurturing, and I feel like I can truly be myself without like fear of judgment. Everybody's like super encouraging. And yeah, I feel like it was like a safe space to like post about whatever I wanted. So it's really nice to be part of that community. And yeah, I would honestly I would love just keep coming back because it's so fun for me to be there. So yeah, you might even see me like a fourth time. Who knows? The other thing is like he also has like an alumni group on Discord, and that's filled with like at this point, Andy's been how long you been doing coaching for? Like how many years?
A few years, but we've only had that members only Discord for a couple of years now. So that's been there for like, I don't know, 2.5 years.
Yeah, but there's like 50, probably 50 plus people in there. And so it's a very like good community to be part of, like especially if you only do Andy's coaching for like 3 months and you still want to keep improving. It's a really solid community to be part of because everybody else has also gone through Andy's coaching. And so they know what it's like to be part of it and also to, keep encouraging you after you finish the coaching so you can continue like crushing your goals. So
Yeah, everyone in there's great.
yeah.
I will shout you out. I appreciate you. You've been an absolute fucking joy to coach. I can't believe that I've gotten to coach you 3 times. And I'm always really grateful every time when you are in the coaching, especially this last time, how much love and advice you give to other people. Like it really did feel like at times you were doing a lot of coaching to other people. I could see how generous you were with your time and your advice. So I really appreciate all of that. You're a wonderful, wonderful human being. And I genuinely feel blessed that I get to know you, man. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Same. I mean, I feel like there was an inflection point when I started your coaching, and I feel like every year I'm just able to get so much out of like your coaching, and I just really appreciate first of all you for being you, because I think your philosophy is unique to where I feel like I can continue to grow and still be supported. Like it's very encouraging. I've seen other communities, and I just haven't quite found something like this where everybody's encouraging you. You're very like spiritual as well, and like how to learn to like accept your emotions and be present and become stoic. And I think that's also really important. And yeah, it's just it's a very unique like dating philosophy, and I think like the life philosophy part of it that it extends into is fantastic. I'm really grateful to be part of your coaching and having come across your content and making that decision to okay, I'm going to try the coaching.
Hell yeah, my brother. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, this was fun to do. But all right.